Spiders are among the most ever-present of nature's manifold wonders, and here in southeast Queensland, even when meandering through the cacophony of daily life with little time nor peace of mind to pay much heed to one's surroundings, it's quite difficult, dare I say impossible even, to fail to notice these incredible arachnids, for not only are they prolific, many seem to care surprisingly little about staying hidden. Orb weavers of all kinds sit conspicuously upon their vast, intricate webs. Jumping spiders prowl and prance atop leaf and branch, railing and wall, endowed with an endearing charisma far beyond their miniature form. Yet all the variety that we may see in the light of day is a mere taste of what the world of spiders has to offer. For impressive as the sunlit suite of daytime prowlers and elegant web spinners may be, it is merely the tip of the iceberg. And there are yet many more spiders that instead favour a cryptic, secluded existence, removed from prying eyes and whatever undesired attention they may bring. And under the cover of darkness, spiders who spent the day tucked away in nooks and crannies unseen begin to venture forth. And it is in these moonlit hours that some of the biggest and most impressive of all Australian spiders discard their veil of secrecy. Huntsman spiders are found the world over, and despite being outsized by some of their overseas counterparts, the huntsmen in Australia tend to get the lion's share of the attention, due in part, I suspect, to our, at times, memorable interactions with these spiders, ranging from an affection oft reserved only for the most beloved of pets, to rather comical displays of fear, usually as a result of getting jump-scared by the sudden appearance or unpredictable movements of one of these spiders. Though on that topic, I am certainly not someone who is qualified to laugh at anyone else getting jump-scared. This night, I ventured to a local bush reserve on the hunt for two of the biggest species of huntsmen in the country, both of which are tree-dwelling animals that spend the day wedged in the tight spaces beneath loose sheets of peeling bark, and at night emerge to wait for oncoming prey. Upon this vertical hunting field, these spiders may sit motionless for hours on end. But think not that the stillness and utter silence of the huntsman's moonlit vigil in any way betrays an idleness or slumber. The spiders are primed and highly alert, ever in anticipation for their next victim. Their legs, covered in sensory hairs, detect the slightest of movements, alerting the huntsman to the motions and whereabouts of prey even in the pitch darkness of the night. Though my location of choice was but a small patch of forest surrounded on all sides by suburbia, a popular sight that by day is brimming with human activity, from idle walkers to avid runners that I'm always compelled to get unnecessarily competitive with, in the bitter watches of the night, even this castaway patch of greenery amid the suburbs, little more than a glorified park, feels truly wild. Upon my first few steps beneath the eaves of the forest, the nightly serenade of crickets, katydids, and frogs arose to replace the dull hum of traffic on a distant highway. For the most part, the members of this unseen ensemble elude detection by any means of perception save the ear, but with the opportune flash of a torch in the right place at the right time, their cover can be blown. From their refuge in the dense and tangled undergrowth, conocephalus, so named because of their cone-shaped heads, call out to one another with a low, gentle buzz. This is a female, easy enough to identify thanks to her long ovipositor, the device she uses to lay her eggs. Close at hand is a male, who of course lacks this feature. In this particular case, he may very well be preparing to try his luck with the nearby female. Katydids are all very well, they're some of my favourite insects after all, but I of course had come for something a little more impressive than a couple small conocephalus. Yet as I continued my trek with little else but a pair of semi-slugs to show for the effort, I began to feel that the night's foray was shaping up to be something of a disappointment. But just as I was beginning to falter in my steps, the beam of my torch fell upon an all too familiar shape at the base of a large tree. So I was starting to think that maybe tonight's walk might have been a bit of a bust. But then, have a look what I've found here. This is Typostola barbata, the green-bellied huntsman, and while I'm not exactly a stranger to this species, I've kept them as pets a number of times, this is the first one I've ever found in the wild. Now let's see if she'll be cooperative. Oh, have a look at that. Now I think we can all agree that this is already quite an impressive spider, but this is still only a juvenile. Typostola barbata is one of the biggest huntsmen in the country, and a full-grown adult can reach a leg span of around 20 centimeters. That's as big as my hand. Adult Typostola barbata also tend to be extremely mellow and easy to handle. This juvenile is, as we've seen, still a little bit on the skittish side of things, but she's already starting to calm down, and let's hope I haven't spoken too soon. And now that she's relaxing a bit, let's see if we can get a closer look. Typostola barbata is quite a recognizable species for reasons beyond its huge size alone. Though quite plain in appearance at first glance, a closer look at the spider's face reveals a vibrant yellow blotch between her two rows of eyes. Also visible from the front is the spider's namesake feature, dense tufts of long salmon-pink hairs at the base of her legs and around her mouthparts, which make for a vaguely beard-like visage, and the species epithet barbata means bearded. The faint green tinge visible in this individual is not part of the spider's external coloration. Rather, it's what we can see of her internals. Hemolymph, the spider equivalent to blood, is greenish-blue in color, and the slight degree of translucency in the spider's exoskeleton allows the hemolymph to be faintly visible from outside. As the huntsman grows, she'll become progressively more opaque, and in adults, the green only remains visible at the joints and on the underside, hence the common name of green-bellied huntsman. And should this spider survive even a few more months, she will mature into a spectacular creature like this. After bidding my barbigerous little friend a hasty but fond farewell, I trudged on through the darkness, now a little more hopeful that the night's endeavours would not be futile. A more thorough scan of the tree trunks revealed other spiders far smaller than Typostola, and in some cases you get two for the price of one. Here, a juvenile Heteropoda jugulans, by far the most common huntsman in southeast Queensland, has stationed itself directly behind the web of an Argyropoda oceloides, a rather unusual species of orb weaver. Many Argyropoda species are large, colourful and conspicuous spiders, but Argyropoda oceloides is an altogether more cryptic entity. It's drably coloured, far smaller than many of its relatives, and constructs its web not out in the open, but flat against the trunks of trees. And spiders aren't the only animals out and about on the tree trunks. A trio of Australocricus perditus, a rather large species of millipede, well, large by Australian standards anyway, forages about the rough bark of this eucalypt. These millipedes are detritivores, feeding on dead and decaying wood and other plant matter. Slow and vulnerable as they may appear, Australocricus are not without defense. A sturdy exoskeleton can turn the fangs of all but the biggest huntsman, and should an attacker really push its luck, the millipede can release copious amounts of defensive fluid that is not only foul-smelling and potentially irritating, but, especially for smaller animals, toxic. Soon my path took me through an area rich in native bushes and shrubs that, now, with spring around the corner, are beginning to burst into bloom. And among their foliage, other, smaller huntsmen are on the prowl. Neosporaces, unlike Typostola, reside not under bark, but in makeshift dwellings constructed from rolled-up leaves bound in place by silk. And with this difference in habitat, their bodies need not be as flat as those of the bark-dwelling huntsmen. Though dwarfed by many of their relatives, these Neosporaces are by no means pushovers, and will readily subdue animals at least as big as themselves. This individual has snagged itself a rather sizable cockroach, and is also obligingly demonstrating why these spiders bear the common name of badge huntsman, that of course being the prominent badge-like markings on his underside. This badge normally remains hidden from view, but should the spider feel threatened, it may rear up, exposing this striking pattern as a warning for potential predators. Nearby, another Neosporaces is undergoing one of the more arduous processes that arthropods must endure, ecdysis, commonly referred to as molting. A spider's exoskeleton, though it provides protection and support, can become burdensome at times. Not being composed of living tissue, it cannot grow with the spider's body, and must be shed periodically. It's a tedious affair, and one during which the animal is especially vulnerable, so this spider needs all the help it can muster to get itself through the process as quickly and easily as possible. In this case, by hanging upside down, the huntsman has enlisted the aid of gravity to help pull itself out of its old, constricting suit. After a few more moments spent amusing myself with the antics of these smaller spiders, as well as the innumerable other critters milling their way about the foliage, from longicorn beetles to raspberry crickets to whatever this weird katydid is, I began to turn my attention back towards the heavyweights. The foray had certainly yielded no shortage of huntsmen, but what I had yet to find was a fully grown adult of one of the bigger species, and few trees did I need to examine before my eyes were drawn to the tantalizing glimpse of something very sizable disappearing into a crevice. Well, here we have our second big huntsman feature of the night. This, in contrast to Typostola barbata, is a species I've encountered in the wild countless times, but either way, finding them never gets dull. Here is an adult female Holconia immanis, the giant banded huntsman. And now let's see if she's going to behave for the cameras. Alright. Isn't that a beautiful spider? Now, from my experience, and needless to say this is wholly anecdotal, Holconia immanis tend to be a little more temperamental compared to Typostola barbata. Like, they're not defensive or anything like that, but I just find that they're generally a bit more prone to bolting. But having said that, this big girl seems extremely relaxed and amiable, and is more than content to just sit there in my palm and show off her size. These striking patterns, an intricate blend of white, black, and various shades of grey, help the spider blend into its surroundings by breaking up its shape and making its form more difficult to discern against a backdrop. Of the big three, that is Holconia immanis, Typostola barbata, and Berigama aurea, the three huntsman species that I'd consider to be the largest in the country, Holconia immanis is, at least in my local area, by far the most abundant, and it's a spider that you'd be hard-pressed to mistake for anything else. The banded legs and the thick black stripe running partway down its abdomen make Holconia immanis easy to identify even at a glance. Given my previous experience with this species, including one instance in which an individual I was trying to film ran up my pants, I was pleasantly surprised by this spider's demeanour, and I also took the opportunity to get some more huntsman petting footage, because this old clip is something I've used way too many times now and it can't hurt to throw in something fresh. Placid as the spider's temperament was, come release time she left me in little doubt of her speed. After a bit of gentle persuasion to get off my hand in the first place, she vanished quicker than I could blink. I really thought we had something special going on there, but her prompt and eager departure made her feelings or lack thereof all too clear. With two big finds, one of which was a first for me, I think it's safe to declare that this night's huntsman hunt was a success. Huge, hairy spiders are certainly impressive, but there's plenty of smaller spiders that are endlessly fascinating in their own ways. And if you'd like to learn about one of Australia's most bizarre backyard arachnids, then take a look at this video about the scorpion-tailed spider Arachnura higginsi, and feel free to subscribe if you want to stay tuned for future content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on my next adventure.